So I can't. Got it. All right, participants are coming in. Drum roll, please. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Wow, pop from 11 up to 51. All right.
I know, I love that, Leslie. It's just growing and growing and growing.
Get your favorite beverage, your 1 o'clock in the afternoon beverage.
Ooh, we're over 80. I love it.
Do what you want. It's a beautiful day. Not everybody that's on here is in Asheville. We've got people on our wait list from all over. But if you are not here in Asheville, I will brag about our weather today. It is a beautiful day in the Western North Carolina mountains. Yesterday was a different day. It was nasty and gloomy and rainy and cold and wet. But today, spring has sprung. Here we go. It's a gorgeous day. I think the high is 68 today. It's gorgeous.
We get to see sun today.
Yes, it was super foggy this morning. And it looks almost like this picture, just not sunset yet. So welcome all of you. I want to give a little bit more time for more people. We've got an overwhelming response of people that have registered for this event. And some people registered even though they weren't able to make it, or, you know, things change, but do not worry. We do have this being recorded. So we will be sending out this recording to everyone to watch again, because it's just so fun. Or you can share it to a spouse, or even maybe if you want to share it to somebody else that is considering Givens Estates and they just want to hear the latest and greatest. So you'll be able to get that. I'm thinking within the next 48 hours or so, you'll get that email out. It'll just be a link. You click it and you can replay it. So let's see, what time is it? It's 1:04. I'd say I'm going to go ahead and get started, and people will probably continue to come in. But I'm Leslie Lang. You may or may not have met me. If not, that's a shame. I'd love to meet you. But I am the marketing representative. I do get to handle the opportunity for people that want to learn about our community for independent living. I get to meet with you. So if I haven't met you yet, certainly let me know, and I'd love to do that. But I've got two amazing people here on this webinar that are going to give you all of the good information today. And we have Josue Molina. He is the sales and marketing director, not only over Givens Estates here, but also over Givens Highland Farms in Black Mountain. He has a big job and he is doing amazing things on both campuses. However, your updates today that you're receiving will be focused on this campus, but he does handle both. We also have Kirsten Cone. She is our executive director over this campus. She is fairly new here, and we are absolutely enjoying everything she is bringing to the table. And I think you will quickly see why in a moment. She just got a lot of amazing stuff, amazing energy, and we're just all having a great time welcoming her here on the campus and on the team. So with all that being said, let's get this going. And Kirsten, do you want to let it fly and share?
Yeah, absolutely. Before I jump in, I want to make sure if folks have questions, Josue and Leslie, do we want them to kind of put them in the chat box? Do we want them to wait to the end? How do we, I would love it to be interactive.
I find that it's good that people put things in as we go, because it doesn't slow down waiting for people to put the questions in. So yes, thank you. Go ahead if you have any questions. Some people did submit some questions ahead of time, so we do have those. We're going to do everything we can to get to everything, but we do want to respect time. Once this gets going, things will start going. So if your question does not get answered, please do not be offended. They will be in our report system that we can report. And if we don't get to it, we will get you back to you with your answer.
All right. I am going to try to see if we can get technology to be our friend. And give me 1 second here and tell me, are you all looking at a collage of images?
Yes.
Yes. Fantastic. Well, I am Kirsten Cone, and I am absolutely thrilled. I think I'm now about day 80 of this new adventure and the honor of being the executive director here at Givens Estates. I use this image in front of you sometimes to just describe a little bit of who I am in my journey. So I hope that this may create questions or thoughts and comments, but I thought in a nutshell, it might give you a little peek into kind of myself and kind of my background of who I am and what I bring to the table. And then we'll transition and have an opportunity to talk a little bit more about what's going on in the community here. So I'll start off with saying I grew up in a small town in Guilford, Connecticut, about 20,000 people. Great little New England town, had a great opportunity to have proximity to my grandparents, an extended family. And I think for myself, it really was the foundation of my love of geriatric and geriatric wellness. I have to be as shout out in March Madness, go UConn Huskies. So I'm sorry to all my North Carolina fans. I got a little bit of UNCG, but I started my career in the Midwest and college at Indiana University during the Bobby Knight days, since we're in basketball season, and then completed my undergraduate work at the University of Connecticut with a bachelor's degree in physical therapy. From there, I had a fantastic opportunity to move down to North Carolina and started my first of 2 times living in this wonderful state. And then proceeded while I worked as a physical therapist to get my master's degree in business at UNCG. So just a little bit, spent the first part of my career as a physical therapist. I worked at Wake Forest University Baptist Medical Center at that time. And had a great opportunity to come into times of change and transformation. So I got selected to be part of the primary therapist to run the burn unit, and got to work collaboratively with a variety of different professionals. And really enjoyed my time there, and working at the hospital and kind of seeing that aspect of healthcare. I think what it also resonated for me was I wanted to be in a place of prevention and holistic wellness, and a place where folks took self-responsibility for well-being. And so I made the decision after I got my advanced degree to transition into senior housing. And so that was kind of that decision point in my, 25 plus year in senior housing and healthcare, to transition kind of from just addressing sickness to really talking about wellness. And I'll say at the beginning, in the middle of this image is, to me, my core of wellness, and that's my family. And so we had a great opportunity to be out west and go to Yellowstone 2 years ago on a family celebration where my parents were celebrating 50 years of marriage, and my mom turned 75, and 16 of us went and fly fished and rode horses and hiked Yellowstone. And so in that picture is my partner, Marcus, and my 2 sons, my older son, Zachary, my younger son, Xavier, and my beautiful stepdaughter, Cecilia. And so for me, the heart is really relationships and family and people. And that's kind of been a common theme that I hope you'll see as I bring to my leadership style here at Givens as well. Kind of going up to that top right corner and kind of coming down is a little bit more of kind of career places and stops along the way. I highlight Kisco Senior Living, as I spent about 8-9 years of my career there in a variety of different roles. Some opening up brand new communities, such as the one pictured there. That was my flagship property in Corona, California, but also as a national director of wellness and as an interim executive director. Kisco had 26 retirement communities across the country in a variety of independent living, all the way to purpose-built memory care. And now most recently even includes some CCRCs. And for myself, I've had an opportunity to continue to serve on their advisory board even to this day, to stay connected to best practices. Below there, many of you might have seen or heard, my past has, the last 9.5 years was here locally with Care Partners and running a program called the PACE program of all-inclusive care for the elderly. And this was a wonderful model of care that allowed for folks to bubble wrap seniors of all incomes, but predominantly a Medicaid population, and allowed them to have services in their home, to age in place, and really worked through a rich interdisciplinary team. So again, those relationships of our physicians and social workers and nutritionists work together, and we saw some pretty amazing results. At that time, I also had the opportunity to oversee a primary home care agency, as home and community-based services is so important, and aging choices is important. And so loved that I was able to work with a very robust team to, again, provide customized care for folks in their home. I'm going to draw your attention to the bottom corner. You'll see some various books. I tend to be telling folks, I like folks to see what's in my head or understand a little bit about what's important to me. So some of those books are books that have really resonated on my journey of work, from Pema Chondra and Comfort with Uncertainty to, if you've not read Being Mortal, as it really talks about an opportunity to look at what kind of our final chapter and services towards the end of life might look like. And then Simon Sinek is a great business leader about really talking about how to lead leaders, and has some great work there. And just some other good readings of me, of Viola Davis, a great biography if you'd like to read that. And General Stanley McChrystal has a fantastic book. I happen to love military books, but this is really about team of teams and how we can all have a shared consciousness together. And I share that with you because I think those pieces of who I am is fundamental to the visions that we're trying to bring forward at Givens, and what does a vibrant aging life look like. The bottom image is a leadership technique and fundamental of how I choose to work and coach with leaders among myself here. Works on Patrick Lencioni's 5 functions or 5 dysfunctions of a team, depending on which way you read the triangle. But again, this idea that we need to be human, we need to show up with each other, and that both our resident voice, our future resident voice, our families, our staff, we will ultimately have a better collaborative project and fantastic results if we work together. So I'll finish with the 2 books on the bottom right corner, which is what I'm reading right now. So many of you might have picked up or read Disrupting the Status Quo of Senior Living. I've been taking this book around as I meet with each of the individual cluster groups here in neighborhoods to share this concept that is retirement communities, CCRCs, life plan communities, however we want to use whatever phrasing. The idea is that we are a village and that we should be really working together, and those that are affected by the decisions are the ones that should be part of the decision making. For myself, that doesn't seem disruptive. That seems natural and inherent. I know Leslie and Josue and I have had conversations of saying, well, doesn't that just make sense? Why would we give up our independence and our voice, or leave behind the expertise that we bring to our communities? But it really is saying that my role as executive director is probably best served in more of a mayor of a city construct than it is a traditionally top-down hierarchical approach in previous senior housing of years past. So loving this book that's just talking about a mind shift that it really needs to be rooted and fundamental to influence, input, and collaboration. And lastly, I had a great opportunity to listen to Dr. Catherine Meeks just a few weeks ago at an Ashley lecture series here in town. And her book is The Night is Long, but Light Comes in the Morning, and it talks about meditations for racial healing. And so as an individual, I'm always continuing to learn and stretch myself to learn more about others and perspective. And I'm preparing to actually join our residents in just a few weeks on a civil rights pilgrimage to Alabama for 4 days. And so I'm really excited that I'm able to both experience a multi-day kind of event with our residents and also have an opportunity to hopefully video diary some of that. And if you're interested, I'd love to share my experiences maybe when I come back. That might be something that we could add, Josue, to the future on that. So that's probably more than you wanted to know about me, Leslie. You said I have lots of energy. So I hope that that gives you a little roundabout flavor of who I am and what I kind of bring to the community, as I feel that this is where I've been called to be right now, and hopefully be part of this really exciting time at Givens Estates as the executive director. Josue, do you want me to jump into kind of what some of the new things going on, or do you want to toggle and then we'll kind of go back after that about what's going on the campus?
Yeah, I think what first I wanted to ask you is
Yeah,
if so you had mentioned your experience with the cluster reps.
yeah,
For those who are not familiar with our community, what is a cluster rep?
sure, sure. So what I have been really excited to learn is kind of the infrastructure of neighborhoods or communities is based on where folks are living on our campus. There is a resident appointed cluster leader or rep who helps facilitate that group together for social information, or maybe bringing in a guest speaker. And so I should know the number off the top of my head, but I'll be transparent as a new person. I think there's a good number of clusters out there, because I know I've been meeting about 2 to 3 groups a week. But yeah, these are residents that will gather fellow peers together. And I've been joining folks for lunch, sometimes in their homes, sometimes in a common gathering space. And it's kind of just similar to this, kind of a town hall. And those clusters are sharing what's important based on their experience of living and being part of this community. It's been highly valuable for me to get to learn people, but also understand what is maybe the concerns of the residents that live here. So I'm kind of doing a listening tour, I guess, is the best way I could describe it.
Sure, thank you.
Yeah.
And the clusters are definitely important. Really able to get great feedback from each representative for all our neighborhoods on campus.
Yeah.
I really like this board concept.
You do?
I think we all need a board.
Well, I could even close my mouth and you could just look at it and you'd get a little flavor of who I am. So absolutely. I stole it from someone else. You can steal it too, Josue.
I will do that. I'll give you credit though.
There you go. Absolutely.
So yeah, I'll introduce myself, and then we'll go over into some community updates. So my name is Josue Molina. I am the Independent Living Sales and Marketing Director. So like Leslie had mentioned earlier, I work with the Givens Estates team and also the Givens Highland Farms team. And I think there was a question that had come in before the webinar on what that relationship looks like from, Givens Estates standpoint, a Givens Highland Farms standpoint. The communities are independent in a way, right? They each have their own executive director. The residents' voices are heard at each community, and the residents for each community really drive that each community. But as an organization, we collaborate. I think in this environment, it's important to share ideas and work together, and that I would say is part of the values of Givens, but also how we all work together and keep momentum.
Yeah, I would add to that, Josue. I know, being new in my role, we've put some opportunities for both Ken, my counterpart at Highland Farms, and myself to meet routinely so that we can share best practices and make sure that kind of residents in both of our communities have an opportunity to gain wisdom from each other. So I think it's been working out great.
I'm going to share my screen here. I'm having a little technology difficulty. And as I get this started, I just want to also remind everybody about the Q&A option on the bottom of your page. If you have any questions for Kirsten or any of us on the team, please use the Q&A option. That's how we'll be able to see those.
So Josue, as you're bringing that up, I'm going to read out one of the questions that already came in there, if that's okay.
Sure.
It says, you mentioned collaboration between Givens Estates and Highland Farms. From a new applicant perspective, can I apply once to see opportunities for housing at both campuses? And that was from Mark.
Currently, both of those have separate wait lists, so each community has its own wait list. You're welcome to explore both, but if you're interested in either one, we encourage you to meet with each sales and marketing representative.
Thanks.
There we go. So you know those pins that happen in?
Mhm.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay, is my screen showing?
Mhm.
Okay. So really what I wanted to talk about is this is what I normally would do at campus gathering for residents of Givens Estates. Really an update about occupancy, some key metrics we look at from a financial strength, from a marketing strength. And we share this because I think it's important to know, what your future community will look like. So just a few things first I wanted to highlight. Occupancy for independent living at Givens Estates has been trending at 97 to 98% occupied. And what that really is showing us is a strong demand for Givens Estates. The national average, when you're looking at life plan communities, it's about 90%. And when folks are looking at the financial strength of each community, occupancy is a really good indicator of what that demand is, because strong occupancies make strong communities for the future. So we've been trending really well there. In addition to that, we have strong wait lists at Givens Estates. I think we're close to 1,100 waitlist memberships. And even though that number's high, it doesn't mean everyone's ready to move in at this moment. And I think from conversations with Leslie, everybody is at different stages in their plan before moving into a community. Some are 10 years out, some are 5 years out. So it's folks who are making a plan, but having those two metrics really shows that there's an interest, continued interest, and it really poises us for future stability as well. So when you look at Givens Estates, we are Fitch rated at A- with a strong outlook. And these are some of the things that Fitch is looking at when they're, evaluating our financial strength. So that's occupancy, how well are the independent living units reserved or full. Wait list, right? That's future demand. That shows that there is interest in the community. And then there's also other factors they'll look at, which I'm not going to go into depth on that. That's more of looking at a financial analysis, and that's probably going to be a future webinar topic. They're looking at different things, and it really highlights the strength of Givens. Additional updates I wanted to go over today are tour of homes. So if you've attended tour of homes, I know there's been some conversation about what the future of that event looks like. So for those who have not attended a tour of homes event, tour of homes is a monthly event where we're showing folks on the ready list different types of accommodations on campus. We are shifting away from its current format, which is monthly. And part of that is, we're asking residents to volunteer on a monthly basis to have folks come and visit. And it can be a lot on a monthly basis. So we're looking at shifting those events to more of a quarterly or biannually event that can allow us to show a little bit more and prepare on a longer scale to show a few different types of residences throughout. So look out for those. We're really going to be positioning our events to bring waitlist depositors on campus. And so part of that will be coming through our annual survey. So this segues into the annual survey. That's going to be going out toward the end of the next week. And part of the questions on that survey is going to ask what kind of events are future waitlisters interested in. We've got a pretty good idea, right? Tour of homes, a similar type event, but just maybe things we haven't considered. It's really a good opportunity to get to get some feedback from you all on the wait list. And that's pretty much the things to look out for. Annual survey will go out to everyone's email. So if you're on the wait list, you're going to get that email and it's going to go through a few different questions. Some of the things to pay attention to on the survey as well are going to be the preferences. So have your preferences changed? Really some of those details. And then we'll be looking at questions regarding different types of services, the things that you all in the wait list are looking forward to.
So Josue, you generated 4 questions. So I feel like I get to be Vanna, Leslie. Is that all right? So the first question was, have the issues at Mission impacted Givens or how have they? Do you want to start, or I can answer some of those too? Who wants to tackle that?
I'd say maybe have you had more communication with
Yeah, I guess I'll start. Having come from HCA and the Mission family, right, just a few months ago. So in terms of care delivery, no, they have not impacted Givens. So our residents still have the ability to receive the high-level trauma care. I was just talking to a staff member this morning. Her family is going and having an open heart surgery. So definitely lots of care being offered. And again, Mission is only one of 3 hospitals in the area. So the fact that our residents also have the ability to utilize both the Advent Health system as well as the UNC Part E system, I think gives them lots of choices. So from my perspective, and it's limited, I haven't seen an impact on our staff on that. I don't know, Josue or Leslie, if you all have anything to add.
Well, I would say that Mission Hospital is my second home right now. And it is mind-blowing to me, the difference on how there's 2 different worlds that are going on with Mission Hospital, because what you're hearing over here, and I think they've got some valid things that need to be addressed and such, but the amount of care that my mom is receiving it's mind-blowing. The customer service, the patients, the education that they're giving me, the nursing staff, I would have no idea of what is going on, and I'm extremely grateful for that. So I would say that the care that's being given there is incredible, and my mom being a Givens resident as well kind of goes into that question. So very, very pleased with the care she's getting there.
I think a valid question though, and I appreciate folks asking it. I don't think you're alone in this community. Having worked with folks over there, I think there's a high level of commitment that, they have to get some things on the processes improved, but the experience of staff and care has been solid. Access to care, folks are able to get in and be seen. I also know for behavioral health services is going well, as they had expanded some opportunities to care for more folks. So I see a long-term commitment in the community. And just like everybody, they have to go through some changes and working on that. All right, we have another question. I'm on the wait list for Givens. How can I get current information on pricing of various housing options? And that comes from Liz. That's you, Leslie.
You, Josue. Got
Or you, Josue, whoever wants to
an
take.
update on that. Uh-oh, you're muted.
The classic, you're muted on a Zoom call. So that's going to be, so for the question on the current pricing information, so that's going to be available online. So if you go to our website, at the top of our website, under e-brochure, it has the 2024 rates. In addition to that, we will be sending that out along with the annual survey. So that's going to be a virtual document you can access as well. If you would like anyone sent to you directly, please contact us. We'll be happy to get that to you as well.
Great. And then I'm going to kind of combine these two. It's how many people are on the move-in list, if you'll repeat that. And then what is the yield from our wait list is Nancy's question. What percentage of those folks do you actually expect to move in? Leslie, do you want to, who wants to take touch?
Okay, so let me look at that question as well. Pricing, move-in list, where's the yield? Okay, so I would say we have approximately about 1,200 people on the wait list. And many, if you've heard any of my presentations, you hear me say, get on at least one wait list. I want you to have options. So out of these 1,200 people, these people have put a deposit down at Givens, and it could be that they're on this one as well as others. There are some people that get on wait lists that never intend to move at all. But what if they had to? And if so, they want Givens to have that as an option. So I don't know what the exact yield is, the turnover. That would be an amazing, fun statistical thing that we can look into. But that's the wait list, about 1,200-ish people. But my ready list, these are the people that are notified of openings, that are ready to move. And if they were offered a place, they would be asked to close no later than 60 days after that residence has vacated. So people can be on the list for years, but I need to know who to call. So that's the purpose and the reason of the ready list. And I would say that the ready list is anywhere between 50 and 70-ish people at all times. And I think our average, some years it's different, but average move-ins, new move-ins every year would be between like maybe 40 to 55-ish. Would you agree with that, Josue? That number?
Yeah,
about a year.
5.
So, you're going to have, things turn over, and then it depends on what comes available. I mean, if you want a cottage, you're not going to want a 1-bedroom Asbury Commons apartment. So I've got to notify what matches with what they want and where they are on the list. And remember, everybody is on the ready list in order of your original wait list date. The average time that I tell people to be on the list, it's an average of 2 to 5-ish years. I like that ish, don't I? So if you're looking for something larger, that is typically a longer wait. 1,500 square feet and up is a longer wait. Under 1,500 square feet is usually not as long. So if we're under 1,500 square feet, up to 3 years. If you're over 1,500 square feet, over 3 years. Cottages are probably 5+. So then people go, where am I on the list? Remember, it's a buyer date. So think about when you originally got on the wait list. So if Kirsten's been on the wait list since 2020, she's roughly been on it for 4 years, roughly. So she would be higher up on that average. So you kind of got to look at that. So it's not by the date that you got on the ready list. It's the date that you initially got on it. So all of you smart people that have been proactive and put your deposit down, that's where you are. So are you ready? Are you on more than one wait list? What comes available is going to be factors for us to kind of look into further answering that question. But that might be a good leadway, Josue, to one of your poll questions that you have.
Yeah.
So I'll let him pull that up. Would you like to do a poll question now?
Let's do a poll question.
Survey says.
Technical difficulty. No, I'm just joking.
No. So
Okay.
are you on the ready list? Everybody that's been invited to this is either on the wait list or the ready list, and everybody wants updates and to be caught up on everything. So this is fun. The poll is coming. About 50% have answered so far. It's fun watching the bar move. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoop, whoop, whoop. About 75% have answered. And so it's yes, no, and would you like us to put you on the ready list? So that means you're not already on the ready list, but you're thinking, yep, it's time for us to get on the ready list. So we've got a couple of people that want to be moved on to the ready list. And if you want to end it, I would say the answers are about 58% of you are not on the wait list, and about 41% of you are. And there's a small percentage of you that do want to be placed on that ready list. But the key is, don't get on the ready list unless you would be in a position to move within or close 60 days later. And I've got an amazing webinar. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole too far on that. So if you want to learn more about that, and if you aren't already, or if you want to have the update, email me, llang@givensestates.org, and I'll send you that webinar, and I'll talk about all the details, all of the documents and everything you would need. It's really well put together. It'll help you.
Great. Josue, we had another question on the Fitch rating. And so I actually don't know the answer to this one. I can get it if you don't, you may. It says, since we're at an A-, what is the timeline or the specific steps that are required to kind of bump that score to get to like an A+?
And that I don't know either. We can get
Okay.
that, definitely. It's a great question. I think that question can also segue into a future webinar that I'm thinking, which would be, I think, Leslie, we've done this in the past, which it was dollars and cents with Alan Squires. And Alan Squires is our Chief Financial Officer for Givens. And so we'll look into this question and get you the full answer, but I think we'll also be looking at a more financially focused webinar.
And I think too, maybe when we send out this survey or whatever, if we have some unanswered questions here, we can make sure we can get those back to folks, just so that folks can see that we're closing the loop on that. The other question is, what is the average % of increases? I assume that is, it doesn't specify, but I know that there could be an increase to both a monthly rental rate, an increase if living here, or maybe even a entrance fee. Is that correct? Could you speak maybe to that?
Want me to take that one?
Yeah, Leslie.
Yep. Okay. All right. So in the past, I used to always tell people to plan, because we don't know the future, but plan on about a 2.5% to 3.5% increase. I have recently changed that because we've all heard the bad word, inflation, and we don't know what the future holds. So I'm now telling people to gauge about a 3 to 5% increase. I hope that's a little bit higher than what it needs to be, but I would rather bump that up and then think that that's going to come down, and we have an average. If we're looking at 2 to 5 years average of getting in the community, I think 3 to 5% is a safer buffer period to be around. And when we're talking increases, typically that's across the board: entry fees, monthly fees, higher levels of care, kind of just bulk that into one response.
And I'll say this too, I think we have a fiscal responsibility, right, as we're operating our buildings, to make sure that we're constantly looking at cost saving measures. I sat in on a great resident group called Money Matters. And so they were sitting there, and again, a both staff and resident collaborative group where we're talking about budgeting. We're understanding the impact of that. We're looking at labor rates. And so, Leslie, I think that's right on target with what that group mentioned just last week, that, pre-COVID, pre-pandemic, we probably were in some of those smaller increases. It's just not the environment in which we're in right now. But we're really trying to continue to be, like I said, good stewards and being fiscally responsible as we're looking forward to what is still balancing the right value and still making sure we can get the right staff, provide the right quality of care, and all of those things together. This one I also don't know, but I'm actually curious. So I appreciate, somebody said that last time on your all's webinar, it was said that an LPN or an RN was available each night, and someone wanted to know the percentage of RNs. So I don't know that. I know our directors of nursing in both of our assisted living and our healthcare center are both RNs. We always have RNs available, obviously that leadership on call. And we do have a good number of RNs and LPNs, but I don't know the percentage. I'd have to, unless you all know that off the top of your head, I'd have to get that answer back for.
The response that I've had when that question has come up before, and of course I focus on independent living and things, regulations are always changing in the higher levels of care. So in the past, as this question has come up, like how many staff are going to be on hand, readily available for me, that concept, they always talk about the acuity, meaning what is the workload, what is needed in that level of care at that time, because, you know, it's always changing with your patient load and what they're needing. So that acuity will change based on how many hands on deck you need at that time. So RNs, LPNs, and all of these different staff members can move from home care to assisted living to skilled nursing, short-term rehab, to make sure that we have enough hands on deck that is needed at that time in each level of care. And then when it's compared to what the state requires for minimum requirements, I always say that we always exceed what the state requires. That's why Givens has such a good high rating and reputation, that we are always above what the par, the minimum amount is. So if I were to give you a response to that question, it would be as of today, and it would change tomorrow. So just know it's always above and beyond the minimum of what's required. I always give long responses, sorry.
I would also say maybe one of the changes, and again, or has evolved depending on when someone joined the wait list, is the addition of our security on-site team. And so, you know, what I have peace of mind is if someone is in independent living, they press a pendant, they pull a cord, they call for assistance. They have not only the medical response team of somebody coming if it's a medical concern, but we also have on-site security coming to support as well. And again, getting the right care at the right time. That might be sending out, right, for someone. It may be a nurse taking a blood pressure. So that's been quite impressive for myself to see, despite not being regulated, right, in an independent environment. Like you were saying, Leslie, we tend to, that's a minimum threshold for a lot of communities, and we're kind of adding a above and beyond kind of component to that. But I'm happy to, I mean, I am also happy, trust me, if we can find RNs, as in everybody, we have a commitment as an organization to support both RNs and LPNs in a mix of our staffing. So that is definitely a commitment we have. Josue?
Yeah, and I think this is a good segue into our safety and security updates. So if you've been on our campus recently, it's been a little bit bumpy. So we've been going through some changes in our front entrance to accommodate a gatehouse. So really controlling some of the access on our campus. And I think, Kirsten, you probably have a little bit more background in the conversations that led to that.
Sure.
But in addition to that, Givens Estates moved to 24/7 safety and security, and it's been a really great service for residents, because you know, safety and security is, you know, of course doing the security portion of it, but the safety aspect of it is those responses to, you know, when residents need help, but also some things as in transportation, right? So just helping us get around campus. So there's just been a lot of great impact from that team, and I think that's been well received from my conversations with residents.
Yeah, I would add to that. Again, I tend to be a metrics data person, so I love these great questions. You know, upon educating myself as I got here, the 2022 survey that was conducted on site indicated that this was a desire for the residents. And so again, I love the responsiveness and feedback that came for building out this program, as Josue said. I think, again, it is a balance of still feeling welcoming and inclusive, but at the same time, just knowing who's on site. Let's make sure that even from contracted vendors, right, or construction folks, that we have the right people on our campus. We also want to provide customer service. So if someone comes to our campus and doesn't know how to navigate to find their friend, they have an opportunity as they check in at the kind of gatehouse to be given a map, to be shown where to go. And so we kind of really liked that. This was a fantastic example of a complete collaborative process. We had residents on the panel who helped come up with questions and issues in terms of kind of figuring out how does this process want to work. And we're really hopeful that probably right now we were hoping April 1st. We're maybe looking at the week of April 8th that our guardhouse will be operational. And so if you all were coming to visit on this campus and coming to see Leslie to hear all that great stuff, you would just come on in, you would just share that you're on our wait list. We would welcome you and then have an opportunity to have you come onto campus and be directed to wherever the event was being held that day. So I think that's a great opportunity to be done with some front of the house construction, and then know that we have, if it was after hours, you even have the ability, if you come to that, our security folks can via video see who's there, allow you to enter onto the campus. So just again, a nice way for families, guests, you all residents to feel that they have a secure environment where they know that someone cares about where they're living. But yeah, there you go.
This actually is a good segue into our next poll question.
Great.
So I'm going to launch the poll question, which is, which benefits of being on the wait list are you taking advantage of? So hiking trails, meals at the dining venues, working out at the Jordan Center, attending classes and events. It is always interesting to watch those results come in.
It is.
Like a little race.
And it's interesting because, you know, there's so many people that get on the wait list that don't live here locally. Well, I always joke saying it's not a huge benefit for you if you live in Texas to come to water aerobics on Tuesdays at 10. It's not necessarily a convenient benefit for you, but for those that live here locally, I mean, my goodness, you can't even join the Y for a lifetime for that. So having, you know, that as a benefit, it is good. And even if it's just to come on campus and walk around and become more familiar with the buildings, with the locations. I mean, let's face it, it's a lot to learn. So if you were looking to buy a house and you knew there's a specific area of Asheville you'd want to be, wouldn't you drive around that area? Wouldn't you go and experience that area and be really familiar and see if that's a place where you would want to be? Is there a particular neighborhood in that area that you would want? So I please encourage you to come get on campus, even if you're not using the actual amenities, but at least be on campus. You will meet people. You will be able to see if whether or not it's really a place you want to be. So
Looks like you guys are all in there.
yeah, it's going well, doing good. Awesome.
All right.
Okay.
While some of that's on there, one of the questions that came up in the chat is, you know, talking about if larger facilities are in demand, are more being built to meet that demand. So, you know, Josue, I think like we were just saying, and Leslie, depending on trying to figure out how do we meet the needs of those residents we have, how do we meet the needs and plan as a community for future needs. One of the things that I like to share is, we are getting ready to revisit a lot of our master planning. So what does this campus look like in 2 years, in 5 years? So for those of you specifically on this wait list, that's what you're curious about. And so that process is just re-engaged. It had been put on hold for a bit. Since my time here starting in January, I've been in 3 master plan meetings already. So I can share that the hope is sometime maybe by about summertime, we'll have a little bit more clarity around what is the alignment to the needs as we're surveying folks? What are the kind of constraints of our wonderful construction world that we live in? And what is the need for future? I will share that the 2 biggest needs that are coming up for a lot of folks is related to making sure that our assisted living care options are available, whether that's being able to receive care in our home and be able to age in place, or having more assisted living options on campus, as well as specifically for those that are navigating dementia care. So folks have indicated that that would be important to them, that's a gap we have, that yes, we can care for folks now, but maybe some purpose-built or more of a small household type model could be a real benefit to our community. So those are the voices that I'm kind of bringing in, that we're looking at that. In that also comes common sharing spaces, group spaces. I was even on a wonderful meeting this morning as we're talking about launching into more of a outdoor multi-use space. So how could we have an outdoor venue in which someone could come hear a musician, someone could host a March Madness outdoor gathering, maybe have a intergenerational event where you could have a grandchild's, a game of pickleball with your grandchild. So I think we're looking for maximizing not just physical space, but to leverage and highlight the ability for us to commune with nature and take in the beautiful outdoor venues. And so all of that's definitely being considered and reviewed at the time right now. All right. I think we answered this. One question was about the increase for the entrance fee. And I think, Leslie, you had answered that those increases kind of apply both to all different types of fees. This one is saying, what percentage of independent living residents need higher level of care? And so I think that's an interesting question, as we were just talking about assisted living or memory care or aging in place services. I don't know if we have a percentage number of that. Do you?
Well, what we have seen as a trend is we used to see a lot more people transitioning to assisted living, and we're seeing fewer and fewer people taking advantage of Givens Home First. That is our own home care program of our employees. We have almost 50 employees that work for Givens Home First that provide care for people in all independent living residences. We are now seeing that people, once they've already moved once, they don't want to move again. They don't want to be separated from their spouses. They like the comforts of their home. And a lot of times the aging or things are more of a trickle effect. So having the supportive care in the home has been wildly successful. So we're now seeing about less than 10% of people moving to the higher levels of care. Now, there's different reasons for that. One, they want to stay in their home. Some people, fewer more than ever, have long-term care insurance policies now, and some policies don't pay for home care. Some of them pay for only a facility. So whereas what I've been hearing a lot in the past, like Kirsten saying, building more assisted living, but the lifestyle and what that looks like is so different. They want that home care model. They don't want just an institutional room. They want it to feel more like a home. So if we're not having as many people transferring to those higher levels of care, for those that do, they may have a spouse that's wanting to go with them. Rather than feeling like they're living in an assisted living room, they can now have a residential setting where spouses can go together or even by themselves. So if we don't need as many of those, we need a different concept of those and having that on the campus. So, getting occupational and physical and speech therapy in your home, all of those. And then also having home care offices for employees to have a break, or having training, and all of that is just things that I've been hearing that have been discussed on the strategic meetings, not anything that's being stated as a promise to you right now. But I know that they've been throwing all kinds of things on the wall, getting ideas in place together. As Kirsten said, it's kind of been paused, but now it's coming back up again. And even things have changed since the first meeting.
And I would say that household model, or that concept of where there is a tremendous abundance of choice right now when we look at initially joining a community. Traditionally, in any kind of a campus environment, as you require more care, you tend to lose choice. We have a strategic vision to adopt this household model, or this concept of care, of how do we preserve and add as much choice as possible, even as we age and require more care. So if I never ate breakfast, please don't wake me up at 7 a.m. if I happen to be in skilled care to force me to have breakfast. Please honor the respect of the individual I am. And so that's really exciting for me. That's a background that I bring. And I know Josue and I were on a meeting just last week and talking about how could we design services and options, and even potentially buildings that create that continued choice and continued independence as we age. And so that's very much so part of the fabric of how we're going to be looking at our kind of future growth and plans here. So I'm excited about that. As way I'm sensitive to time, but I also see we have some more questions. I'm going to go a little quick. I'm going to say, when you are accepted to move into independent living, does a portion of your payment then award you a certain number of skilled care days or a cost per resident year? In other words, are you a life care type CCRC? I'm going to let you take that one, Josue.
So no, we're a type C fee-for-service community. That would be a type A community. So all our contracts are type C.
Great. And is there a financial planner on staff who can assist a resident with budgeting for monthly expenses?
There is not a financial planner on staff, but we do encourage you to work with your own financial planner as you make these decisions. It's, they're a big part of your decision team along with us. When we review each application, we are doing a financial review, and we have a pretty conservative financial criteria, because we want to also make sure that it's not something that it's overextending someone, right? Because part of part of finances also can lead to stressful situations. So making sure that it's a good decision there. And we also use My Life Site, which is a financial modeling tool. And we did a webinar sometime last year with the founder of My Life Site, who is a financial planner, and really has some good insight and considerations when looking at a community. If you're interested to learn more about that, send me an email, jmolina@givenscommunities.org, or you can email Leslie at llang@givensestates.org, and we will get that to you.
Great. Kind of staying in that transition, someone's asking, are there transition services available from Givens, like help in moving and selling and a smooth financial and physical move? How do we support during that? Leslie,
Yeah.
you want that? Or
you want that, Leslie?
Sure. Okay. So when you are actually moving into the community, you'll be working with Ben and Ashley on getting, your residents ready and all that. And she can also provide you, and I as well, can provide you with a list of movers and donation resources. These are people that are based on feedback of people that have moved in and people that they have used. We have collaborated compiled a list together, and we can share that with you. You are not obligated to use them. And if you use somebody that's not on the list and it goes well and you want to let us know about it, we can always add them to the list. So that would be at your expense. You would pay for them, but they can certainly be of assistance to you to help you make that easy. And most of them, you can customize how you want their help. Maybe it's just unload the truck. Maybe it's putting all of your spices in the cabinet, however you want. We've had people take a cruise and come back and it's done. So it's really up to you, but there are people, that's what they do. They know how to help you. And there's a lot of logistics and even the emotional side of that for people, of going from maybe they're downsized. Some people upsize too, but it is a process and there's lots of options. But again, you're not obligated to use them. We'll provide you with a list.
Go ahead.
And I think just because we're running over time, if we haven't gotten to your question, we will review and get back to you. Thank you for attending the webinar. And thank you, Kirsten and Leslie. This has been a great conversation, and I hope it's also been helpful for those on the wait list. But please let us know how we did. Send us an email and some feedback, or other questions that come up. That's why we're here.
And I want to make myself available too. If you happen to be visiting or you're coming to take a tour with Leslie, please, my office is across the way from where she's at. Please pop over and introduce yourself. Again, please reach out via email. I really do think it's important that folks, this is a life decision, and we love this community. And I'm very excited to make time and learn what's important to you. I love some of the comments and questions here that we'll get to in kind of flipping back in some of the answers. But yes, I think we need to be environmentally good stewards, financially good stewards. We have to be committed to choice and quality. And I really do think we have an opportunity to transform how folks view the aging process, and to shake the tree and to show folks that vibrant aging is just that. It is vibrant. It has tremendous amounts of opportunities, and we hope you want to share that with us. So thank you guys for asking me to join you today. And if I need to come back at any time, I'd be happy to do that if certain questions came up.
Yeah. Good luck to your Huskies in the tournament.
Yes, go Huskies.
My wolf pack does the upset.
And just as a recap, we're going to send the recording out.
Mhm.
And then we're also, Josue is also going to be sending that survey to you. So be thinking, based on this, what questions you would have, what fun events you would want to do on the campus, so that when that survey comes, you can just light us up and give us all kinds of good feedback.
Fantastic.
I just love working with all of you.
All
And
right.
wonderful day.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Bye.